Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bullspit Pod. My name is Cash Bolin. I look forward to previewing the Maverick days this coming weekend for the PBR Team Series events. This is week 4 of the PBR Team Series season. They will be in New York for the first time. The Mavericks will be hosting for the first time as a franchise. I hope that the New York faithful comes out and supports them and get a little taste of cowboy action. Maybe sometimes they don't get. I look forward to jumping into our top 5 rider power rankings, top 5 team power rankings, and then we're going to jump into all 8 games coming up this weekend. Yes, it is a 2-day event, so only 8 games this weekend, but that much more reason to put it all on the line on every ride. You only got 2 chances this weekend. Some teams only have 1. So we'll dive into that. Of course, as always, please follow on Bullspit Pod on TikTok and Bullspit Podcast on YouTube. Like, comment, follow. Let me know your suggestions. Looking to collaborate, I'm all about that also. If you want me to come out to an event, reach out to me through my DMs. Let's get to this weekend's preview of the Maverick days. Of course, we always need to start out with our storylines from this past weekend and what's going on so far in this season. To start out, the Austin Gamblers go 3-0 last week, are really starting to pick up some momentum. I believe they're on a 4-game win streak, getting rides from really everybody except for Dalton Castle. He's been injured the past 2 matchups, so hopefully he can be back out there this weekend in New York. Of course, they were one of the favorites coming into the season. Faltered to starting out 1-3, but they've picked up momentum 4-3 now. I look forward for them to keep things going. Of course, Jose Vitor Leme is back to his ways. He is squarely in the MVP conversation. It wouldn't be a Bullspit podcast episode if we didn't talk about the Carolina Cowboys. And for good reason. They have made us talk about them every week. They continue to not have a loss on their record. They do get a tie from the Wildcatters last Sunday. Again, that was my upset pick. They almost get it done, but Sage Kimzey knocks out 86 to close things out and get them that tie. So still no losses on their record. We'll see if somebody can get one over on them this weekend. And a big midweek trade we have to talk about. The Stampede send Mason Taylor to the Rattlers. The Rattlers send Cody Jesus back to the Stampede. A really fair trade in my opinion. 2 young guys that are still trying to gain their superstardom in this PBR Team Series UTB season and also the Team Series. A change of scenery for both the riders and the teams. 2 teams that are really looking to get over that hump and start putting more rides together, some wins together. It's a long season. Great trade on both ends. Look forward to see how both of them compete. And, of course, they're going to be going off against each other on Saturday. Rattlers vs. Stampede. That's going to be an interesting one to watch. Let's jump into our top 5 power rankings. Again, this is a power rankings, not necessarily going to match up with the standings. It goes off of really past week's success. Into our top 5 power rankings. Again, this is a power rankings, not necessarily going to match up with the standings. It goes off of really past week's success. At number 5 in our power rankings, the Arizona Ridge Riders. They set at 4-3 also this season. Down 2 spots from last week. They had some trouble last week, not getting too many rides. Wasn't very consistent. They moved Luciano de Castro out of the closing position, it looks like, for Friday night. Put in Bruno Cavallo. I really feel like Keyshawn Whitehorse should be in that closing position, but again, I'm just a fan and an amateur, so who cares? They're still solid. They'll find their rides. I'm giving them benefit of the doubt to them and putting them at number 5 right now. And at number 6, and I was fighting with them, is the Florida Freedom. They put up a 2-1 effort last week in front of their home crowd in Florida. John Krember continues to get things done. He leads the MVP standings. I look to get more from Caden Bunch, Elzamar Jeremias. They got to have some more consistency from Thiago Salgado and Alex Chiqueta. They're right there with the Ridge Riders, and funny enough, they faced off with them on Friday, so we'll see who should have been number 5 in my power rankings on the first night of this weekend's event. At number 4, the Kansas City Outlaws. They are 4-3 to start the season, up 1 spot from last week. They had some, Casio Diaz went rideless last weekend, but they had some other guys chime in. Sandro Batista has been doing really well for them. I look forward for Colton Hevelo to really start going. He's on a roll. They're a really good team. They can compete with the best. Casio Diaz will get his rides. No issues there. I'm not worried about last week's performance. They are at number 4 this week. They will face the Mavericks and the Ridge Riders this weekend. At number 3, we have the Austin Gamblers. Check out the sick hack I picked up. My hometown team, got to represent the Huey Collection PBR Team Series. Y'all go get you one. But the Gamblers go 3-0 last weekend in Florida. Pick up some big rides from Callum Miller to really get the ball rolling. Ramon de Lima chimes in. Ezekiel Mitchell gets his ride. And Jose Vitor Leme is squarely in the MVP conversation. Number 3 in the standings currently. Once they get Dalton Castle back from injury, doesn't seem like he's 100%. The sky's the limit for this team. I really think they can still compete with the Carolina Cowboys this season. Up to number 3 in this week's power ranking, up 4 spots from last week. They will take on the Thunder Saturday night. At number 2, we are going with the Oklahoma Wildcatters. They have been pretty consistent throughout this season. Everyone's getting a piece of the pie on their team. Of course, you have Court McFadden and Clay Guyton that are kind of their next superstars. Josh Frost with that veteran presence coming in and closing things out. Eduardo Matos has been putting up big numbers also for them. Look for them to continue their success. The only team that really has competed with the Cowboys this year, they got that tie on Sunday. 4-3-1 on the season. They will have the Nashville Stampede to open things up on Friday night. At number 1, they're holding true, same as last week, the Carolina Cowboys. Now 6-0-1 with the tie to the Wildcatters on Sunday. They will face the Rattlers this weekend in one game, and we will see if they can continue to stay unbeaten. We discussed our team rankings. Now let's jump into our rider power rankings. After 3 weeks, at number 5, Keyshawn Whitehorse. He has been the go-to for the Ridge Riders. He continues to put up rides every weekend. I look for him to continue his success and see if he can get the Ridge Riders over the hump. Number 4 in our power rankings for the Riders, Colton Hevelo has a great weekend last weekend, going 2 for 2. He is back in their opening position to start things out for them. We'll see if he can continue that success. He's a superstar in the making, one of my favorites on the tour. Colton Hevelo has been big for them, and he is currently leading their standings and rider rankings. Number 4 in this week's power rankings. At number 3 in our power rankings, the former PBR champion, Jose Vitor Leme. He came off an injury in the UTB season, waited things out, made sure to get healthy, and he has come back on fire, really back to his old ways. He is the back-to-back MVP of the team series, and he has continued. I believe he's on a 4-ride streak. Maybe 5. Don't check me on that. But he has continued to close things out for them. A lot of them haven't been meaningful, but now that he's getting some rides and points from his other teammates, he has really put his stamp on things. He is up to number 3 in our power rankings. At number 2, Cooper Davis, the 2016 PBR World Champion, has done it all for the Cowboys this year. He's been their most consistent rider. He starts things off for them and really gives them a fighting chance in everything they do, constantly putting up 88, 89, 90-point rides. When you start with that kind of caliber of rider and you can get that many points, it's the other team's just playing catch-up from there. Really great strategy from them. He's up to number 2 in the MVP standings and number 2 in our power rankings. And at number 1 in our rider power rankings is John Crember. He really is the engine, the body, everything right now for the Freedom. Continues to pump out rides. I feel like he rides every time out. Started out the season great in Oklahoma City, continued that in Duluth. Florida, he put up big numbers, including some shootout wins for them. And he even rode in the last Cowboy Standings events in Cheyenne. He is at another level right now. He is someone they can count on to get 85 no matter what's going on, but he is continually to pump out 90-point rides. He could run away with this. These other riders, it's a very competitive season. I believe John already has 8 rides in a 3-week time span, so they're going to have to put up some big numbers and in a hurry if they don't want him to run away with things. John Crember's number 1 in the MVP standings and number 1 in our power rankings. All right, now we get to jump into every matchup for this coming weekend at the Maverick Days. 8 matchups again. This is going to be a 2-day event. We're going to make every pick. After going 7-5 in our first week on our picks, last week we go 7-4-1 with a tie. Really would have loved to have that upset pick with the Wildcatters over the Cowboys, but the Cowboys they're tough. They're a reason they've been so good this year. Jumping into our Friday night matchups. To start things out, we have the Wildcatters versus Stampede. A great matchup, pretty even matchup, I feel. The Wildcatters have been the more consistent team, though. I look forward to for them to continue their success. I'm going to give them the win over the Stampede on Friday. I really hope that maybe that trade of Cody Jesus, who will be in the lineup Friday night, or the vets in Savano Alves or Alan De Sosa will get the Stampede back on track and make things interesting. But I'm giving the edge to the Wildcatters on Friday. Matchup number 2 is going to pit the Texas Rattlers versus the Carolina Cowboys. The Rattlers have had a tough go of things. Last week going 0-2. They get the Cowboys the first matchup on Friday night. I hope that they can make a Cinderella kind of comeback and beat them on Friday to get things going for them. But it would be foolish of me to put anything past the Cowboys. I'm going with the Carolina Cowboys to continue their dominance and stay unbeaten. Matchup number 3 on Friday night is going to be our number 1 matchup for the weekend. The Florida Freedom versus the Arizona Ridge Riders. I have them number 5 and number 6 in my power rankings. They're floating around that same in the team standings for this season. The Florida Freedom are starting to pick up momentum. Had a great weekend last weekend in front of their home crowd in Florida. Of course, John Krember is continuing to dominate this league. The Ridge Riders, they need to get back on track. After having a first 2 weeks that were pretty successful, the past couple of weeks have started a downtrend. I look forward to them, really, they got to step up. They got to bounce back, answer the call. This is a big one on Friday night for them. Keyshawn Whitehurst will keep things going. They'll need some more from Luciano De Castro and Nick Tetz. And, of course, Eduardo Aparecido can add in some there, too. I look forward to that matchup on Friday night. I'm going to take the Ridge Riders to get a close one. Close out things on Friday. The hometown team, the New York Mavericks, will take on the Kansas City Outlaws. That is a pretty tall task in front of your home crowd for your first matchup. This is going to be a tough one. The Mavericks, worst riding percentage out of any teams by far. We'll touch on that a little bit more later when we dive into the stats. They're just not getting enough rides. One ride out is not enough. They've been lucky and got a couple of wins that way and kept things close that way. I expect the Outlaws to put up big numbers, 3 to 4 rides, and then to get the win on Friday. On Saturday night, we're going to start out with the Outlaws versus the Ridge Riders of Arizona. This is going to be my number 2 matchup from this weekend, really just as good as our number 1 matchup. The Outlaws, number 4 in our standings, the Ridge Riders, number 5. Very comparable teams. They both have the players to do big things, a little bit more consistency. The Outlaws will get it from Casio Diaz. He's the only one really that didn't ride for them last weekend. I don't expect that again. The Ridge Riders will have a tough one against the Mavericks and have to bounce back, against the Freedom on Friday night, and then they're going to have to bounce back against the Outlaws. I'm going to take Kansas City on this one. It should be close. Matchup number 2 on Saturday is the Texas Rattlers versus the Nashville Stampede. A little bit of a storyline we could create just for fun. They have the trade this week, a big trade, and really, the Mason Taylor goes from the Stampede to the Rattlers. Cody Jesus will go from the Rattlers to the Stampede, and they're going to match up on night number 2. We'll see if they're both in the lineups. They are on Friday. I'm going to give the edge to the Rattlers on this one. I just feel like they are a little bit more in desperation mode. Let's see if Mason Taylor can get them a big ride. Well, of course, Jean Ricardo Rivera, Brady Fielder, Brady Olson, they'll need to add in also. I'm going to give the edge to the Rattlers. Matchup number 3 on Saturday will be the Missouri Thunder versus the Austin Gamblers. Missouri Thunder have had a hard time. They do put 2 to 3 rides together at points, but then again, sometimes they'll be putting together offers. They just aren't consistent. I don't think they quite have the star power. We'll see how they bounce back from last week. The Gamblers are on a roll, though. They've won 3 in a row. I'm going to say they continue that success and keep things going towards the top of those standings. Gamblers get it done on Saturday. And our last matchup of the night, the New York Mavericks versus the Florida Freedom. I really want to give it to the Mavericks in front of their home crowd, close things out with a win. But the Freedom have been too good. There's no way they're going 0-2 this weekend, I feel. They're going to get a win, and I'm going to say it's going to be against the Mavericks on Saturday night. Look forward to Caden Bunch, Alex Cerqueda, Thiago Salgado, John Krember, all having a a fighting chance on any other rides. Could be big numbers from the Freedom. I just hope it's not some 440 to 0 kind of game. Freedom, get it done Saturday night. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you joining me again on this preview show of the Maverick Days this coming weekend in the PBR Team Series season. Of course, follow me on socials. I'll continue to check in with you over the weekend, give you updates, touch on some big highlights from the night. And of course, on Monday at 5 p.m. Central, we will be releasing our recap show of the Maverick Days. Please tune in again. Please share, like, comment. Really want to grow this thing with you and in the bull riding community. Big things to come. Let's continue this journey. As always, I look forward to bull spitting with you next week. See you later.